Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about an important topic in English grammar: transitive and intransitive verbs. Understanding these can really help us use verbs correctly in sentences. Let's start with transitive verbs. A transitive verb is one that requires a direct object to complete its meaning. In other words, the action of the verb is done to someone or something. For example, in the sentence, she reads a book or she reads books. Reads is a transitive verb because it needs the direct object, books or a book, to make complete sense. Right. Now one may ask, what is an object in a sentence? So in English language or in a sentence structure, we have something we call a subject and a predicate, or a subject and an object of a sentence. Right. So when you talk about the object doesn't literally mean an object, but it could actually be a human being or an animal or a thing. And once again, with parts of speech, when we say the object that we are talking about in this sentence structure should be either a noun or a pronoun. So if you see any other part of speech after the verb that we are talking about, in our case like reads, if that word or that part of speech isn't a noun or a pronoun, then that doesn't qualify to be the object that we are talking about in terms of what the transitive and intransitive verbs. I hope you understand. So for instance, if I say she reads books nicely or he sleeps peacefully, the word peacefully or nicely isn't a direct object. It's only an adverb. You understand? So that is what we are talking about. So usually in transitive and intransitive verbs, if you are talking about any object that isn't the noun or pronoun, then it could be any other part of speech. Right. So I hope you understand this. So now let's move on to the intransitive verbs. Right. So an intransitive verb does not require a direct object to complete its meaning. The action is complete on its own. For example, in the sentence, he sleeps. Sleeps is an intransitive verb because it doesn't need a direct object to make sense. Right. So some verbs can be both some verbs can be both transitive and intransitive depending on how they are used in a sentence. So for instance, she sings. Sings here is what? Intransitive, right? It doesn't take any other word or object after the verb sings, and that is complete, meaningful. Versus she sings a song. Right here there's a direct object here, and which one is that? Song. So the song, which is the object, receives the action sings. So that makes it what? Transitive. Remember, it's all about whether the verb needs an object to complete its action. Right. So one take-home thing that I can give you is that in order to identify either a verb in a sentence is transitive or intransitive, right? After the main verb, ask yourself, right? Ask yourself the question what or whom, and if this makes sense, then that qualifies it as what? A transitive what? Verb. But if it doesn't, then you should know that it's what? Intransitive. So it's as simple as that. So you don't have to think too hard or make things complicated. It's as simple as that. The object that we are talking about, direct or indirect. We also have a ditransitive. So in this case, in that example or in a sentence, that means we have two objects in that sentence. So I could say, my dad reads me a book. Reads me a book. My dad reads me a book. Now we have two objects here. Me, right, which is a pronoun, right, me, and then the book is also there. So two, and that makes it what? Transitive. So that is it. I think I hope you understand these scenarios that we have just explained. If you have any other questions or anything, you can let us know in the comment sections, and we will let you understand it better. We will see you in the next one. LEXI-AURA, speak right.